Ladies and gents, welcome back. When all else fails, call your opponent a racist. Well, this has been a left-leaning tactic for some time, and Justin Trudeau is no stranger to this tactic, calling many people in Canada misogynist, racist, all kinds of different names to diminish basically their points of view, not actually addressing what it is they have to say. But he's crossed a new boundary now and calling his opponent, who may become the next Prime Minister of Canada, himself a racist. And well, Pierre Poilievre took to Twitter to address this exactly and directly himself, saying that, Justin, you're getting desperate again. Here's how I can tell. And here's what he had to say.
Hey, Justin, I see that you're desperate again. You know how I know? Because when you get desperate, you divide and distract. And that's what you did today. I read in the Liberal pamphlet, the Toronto Star, that you claim the reason you're so unpopular with Canadians is because Canadians are racist. This from a guy who dressed up in racist costumes so many times, he can't even remember them all. Really, Justin, you can't remember how many times you dressed up in racist costumes? This from a guy who fired the first Indigenous female Attorney General. Why? Because she refused to help you get your corporate friends off of criminal charges after they stole $100 million from Africa's poorest people. This from a guy whose own MPs, Liberal MPs, Justin, said that you mistreated them so badly that they actually had to leave caucus. That's your ugly, racist past. You're in no position to be calling anyone else racist, but we know why you're doing it. You want to distract. You want people to be afraid. Because if people are afraid of their neighbor, they might forget that they can't afford their rent. If they're afraid of their fellow Canadians, they might forget that under your watch we have 40-year highs in inflation. People can't afford to eat, that there are 1.5 million people going to food banks every single month, that food banks have had people ask them for help in committing suicide because life has become so miserable under your watch, that you want people to forget, to be fearful so that they forget that crime has gone up. So what have you done? You've tried to make people afraid of hunters by saying that it's Indigenous and rural people who are hunting that are causing all of the inner city crime and not the many repeat violent offenders that you're releasing into the street. You want people to be afraid so that they forget that this is the chaos. This is the chaos we have at our airports. By the way, Justin, I'm able to record this message right now because my flight is late. Of course it's late. Flights are always late since you became Prime Minister. The federal government is responsible for air transportation. Yes, that's you, my friend. And you don't want people to remember that you have failed in all of these areas. So you divide to distract. Well, we're not going to let you do that anymore. We're going to point out that these failings are your failings. They are not the failings of the Canadian people. In fact, the Canadian people want us to turn the hurt you've caused into the hope that they need. And that is what I am going to do. We're going to make this a country that rewards work again, where the dollar has purchasing power, where planes actually take off on time, and where our streets are safe. That is the hope that is going to unify us, and unity is what we need. Instead of your divide and distract, we will unite for hope. Now, I got a plane to catch.
Okay, so he turned that back around into his own message, but the Liberal pamphlet that he was talking about is, of course, the Toronto Star. Here's a famous publication front page from them. You can pause the screen and see what they actually have to say about people and the concerns that they actually have. But here's the article in question. Justin Trudeau is very aware of just how much he's become a lightning rod for anger in Canada. And it's you that's angry. It's the opposition that's angry, not because of him, but because of them. Don't you see how this works? You're angry because of you and how bad you are. Now, in the article, it goes down to, quote, Justin Trudeau. Trudeau gives every indication that he's keen to mix it up with Pierre Poilievre on this very question, accusing the Conservative leader of whipping up the anger to appeal to those Canadians who are nostalgic for a country that worked well for them, maybe not so much for others. What does he mean by that? What is he actually proposing? He says everything's broken, Trudeau says. He's playing and preying on the kinds of anger and anxiety about some Canada that used to be, where men were men and white men ruled. Oh, is that is that it? Wow. Okay. Now we're crossing the echelon. Now we're going into this this imaginary world that that liberals dream up of people in Canada that want an ethno-state. That we've never had an ethno-state from the beginning, and this is not something that people are advocating for. And I mean, you're a fool if you believe that, but this has never ever been something that anyone's been advocating for, especially all the supporters that are from all kinds of different ethnicities that are supporting, well, the idea of having a free nation, free of a tyrannical leader that likes to rule by dictate rather than going through the normal processes in a parliamentary democracy, in which we used to believe that we lived in. Now, even Rex Murphy is tuning in or giving his 2 cents on this one with an article saying Trudeau's shameful use of the race-based politics to attack Poilievre. I thought we were ever so long past the idea of judging people by the color of their skin. Now, I'll leave a link in the description down below for this article, just for the sake of, well, it's just so full of stuff. I'm going to go to the more easy to read format here. There is a great Irish novelist who once theorized that if men spent too much time riding bicycles, they themselves would over time become more bicycle than men. A dark theory, but not one not to be taken too seriously. In a recent interview, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on the Liberal pamphlet, the Toronto Star, put that phrase into the past tense. Time when men were men, but may I suggest, ever so mildly, that the axiom still is sound. Yes, in 2023, men are still men. Rex, can we really say that these days? I don't know. Men are wanting to be anything. There's all kinds of confusion surrounding this thing, but I would argue you're correct. Men are still men, despite what costumes they put on and what they pretend to be. And the vivid corollary is true as well. The women are women. That is true, and you can't escape that no matter how much makeup you put on or how much you trim your hair back. I say this, and I stick by it, despite the wild theorizing of gender activists. Okay, so he hits that anyway. But that phrase wasn't the only thing that caught my attention in Trudeau's interview with the Toronto Star's Susan Delacourt. It was when he alleged the Conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre, was yearning for the days when white men ruled. This is is unbelievable. That our prime minister is suggesting that the leader of a mainstay party is arguing that it would have been better. It would be better if we had an ethno-state, a white centrist ethno-state. This is the real musings of the political leader of a nation in this current year, as you would call it. But it's just absolutely ridiculous. But I mean, at the end of the day, these are the desperate moves made by a desperate man who is, well, losing his grip. We have polls that are out there now that are showing, despite, and I would muse and maybe suggest to you that despite the wording and the way they run polls and how much the polls, just in how they try the phraseology or how they run them, they tend to lean very liberal. Despite all of that, we have a massive lead for Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives in this poll in particular. And it seems to be the trend. Things are moving away from the current administration, whether it's because people actually support Pierre Poilievre or they're just so upset with what is in power at the moment. But this is what happens when you've run the country into the ground and just demonized anyone who dare oppose anything that you have to say. Eventually, you're going to run out of people to demonize, and you'll run out when you're demonizing everyone. you're going to run out of supporters. But at the end of the day, it's all looking pretty cozy for all of them. And this is at the new year, the Moon New Year celebration. Forgive me if I don't know the Chinese New Year stuff. I think they have great celebrations, but interesting to see them all together, having some happy times. Now, a lot of people would say that Pierre is in a rock and a hard place situation here, where he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. You got to show up, or else they'll come after you in the media and do all this stuff. But they're coming after you in the media anyway, my man. If you want to grab the bull by the horns, you might want to do that. You might want to actually reach out for it instead of showing up with the people that are calling you a racist. And show up, have your own thing at the event. You don't have to be right there with them. Perhaps show them the respect that they're showing you. But hey, to each their own. Let's see what this is. But there's Harrison Faulkner obviously saying, "What is this?" I replied to this: "Is that the illusion cracking, or is that the sound of the cognitive dissonance welling up in the voting public? Is there really a difference? Show us that there is, Mr. Pierre Poilievre. We would love to see that there, when it comes down to it, that there is actually a difference between the major political parties in Canada, or if it's just all rhetoric and the same people wagging the dog, as you may say." I hope for the best. I really do. I really do. But anyway, you can leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think of this whole situation. Do you think it's Justin Trudeau in his absolute desperation, I guess you would say, and not only calling Canadians racist, would appear to be a majority at this point of Canadians racists wanting a white-centric ethno-state, or is that just the desperation of a politician who's losing to someone else now? And is Pierre Poilievre the man for the job? Is he the guy that we're actually looking for to replace Justin Trudeau, or is it going to be a flaccid establishment party moving in? Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.